Hey, thanks for joining us for another episode of Amplify with Adam. We've got a consistent Xometry guest here. I'll plug some of the other interviews we've done with Todd White here, but Todd from Todd White Metal Works is joining us today. And Todd, I gotta say, I'm really excited for you to join, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me today, Adam. I really appreciate it, Luke. Thank you so much. Just excited to give back to the Xometry community in any way I can and just share how you can have success with a company for sure.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about Todd White Metal Works and how you kind of got into the manufacturing space.
Yeah, so
We've covered it a little bit in the past, but
quick backstory. In California, was with a startup doing engineering and machining. They went bankrupt after 6 months, had to close up shop. I really didn't have a shop yet, so I was just working with the company in the garage. Kind of closed up everything there. We kind of lost everything, so we had to move out to Arizona 2017. When I left them, I actually took my one of their CNC machines, which is a Tormach for back pay. We moved out here. As you can see in the other YouTube video, that machine came into play as I couldn't find work. So my wife basically came to me one day and said, look, you have that machine in the garage, you need to figure it out, you need to put food on the table. So kind of forced me to learn. So I just started learning.
mm-hmm.
And as I started transitioning into manufacturing, machining, engineering, I noticed, wow, there's actually an opportunity to make a living for my family. Did some networking, got a hold of a guy here in Arizona who gave me a number to a guy in Washington State. And he said, have you ever heard of Xometry? And I said, no. And I went online, filled out the application. They sent me a test piece. And I remember doing the test piece and I got like, I don't know, $200 something when I was just over the moon excited. And once I was approved, I mean, it went from there. Like the story just started from there. So it was cool. And as I started to learn and grow with Xometry, it was just exciting to know, like I said in some previous videos, that there's always an opportunity to make a living. So it was cool.
That's awesome, man. So you said you had the machine in your garage and you were taking on you were kind of trying to learn, right?
Yeah.
Was that just like trial and error for stuff, or were you taking work at that time?
So based on my circumstances, I had to take work, right? I had to make money. Like there was no trial there. It was just kind of like, I had two girls at the time, one on the way, and you know how that goes, bills are piling up and life goes on regardless of what you know or learn. So I just started taking on jobs, the ones I could take, and from there I just started slowly getting into them, getting them done. I would work during the day, come home, do Xometry in the garage at night, and just take on jobs that I knew I could do, just to make sure they were done within tolerance, and then I could get them shipped out. And so it was kind of like I had a day job and I had a second job at night. So that was kind of like what I did. And I just started slowly merging those together and trying to, after each job was done, I'd sit down with my wife and say, hey, what do you think about this one? And I actually, in another video, I think you guys saw this, but I've kept all the parts that I screwed up in the past with you guys.
That's
and the
awesome.
reason I keep all these parts and I have them all, it's just to remind me where I've started and where I've come. And I remember this job. I slept in the garage. I worked 14 hours a day for 8 days straight. Slept in the garage making these parts. But these are the milestones that build you as a person, build your character, build up your confidence, and just really that's what I think makes a story, is stuff like that and the hardships. And you look back on those and go, when you feel like you're failing today, you can look back on stuff like that and be like, no, man, I'm going forward.
Look at how much I've learned, and how I could knock that job out easy now, so
exactly.
So if you fast forward a little bit, to now, it sounds like you're out of your garage, you're in a facility in Arizona. So
yes,
what's the growth?
Yeah, currently in Glendale, Arizona, so about 30 minutes from my house. I have a little like 1,300 square foot shop. I got 3 machines now, which is super cool. I never thought I would have that. So I got a super mini mill, Haas super mini mill, and I have another mini mill with a 5-axis trunnion. So I'm getting into 5-axis work. And then I bought a live tooling lathe. So it can do mill turn, which means I can make parts kind of like stuff like this, where I can, I can cut the hex and broach and do stuff like that. So that's been a huge learning experience. And everything that I've kind of learned, it's propelled me to want to give back now to as many people as I can. And there's several people in our trade that are starting to pay it forward. So that's what we're starting to do. We actually have a CNC school we've started.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to tell me a little bit about that. I mean, that's so amazing. I think it's indicative of the manufacturing community, right? If you go to message threads or YouTube, et cetera, people are always passing on their knowledge or
Right.
open to sharing it if you ask, but to
Right.
actively bring in, young people in your community and teach them these skills, that's amazing. So how's it going? Tell me a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. So we started our class about 2 months ago. We try to average between 4 and 5 students per class, and it's a complete hands-on experience. So the mill class, you come in on the first day and we set up Fusion 360, and we actually teach you how to design a part from scratch, putting all the correct holes, the tolerances in there, making the print, chamfers, everything, teach you how to do that. Then the following day we go into programming, and then that's like on the second day, like the first half, we do the programming, and then we actually get into the machine part, completing it, and then engraving it. So that's the mill class. And in the lathe class, we actually do this part here. So it's a 3-day class. You come in and I show you how to design that in the computer.
That's awesome.
The whole thing, front to back. So I teach you how to design that. I teach you how to program that. I show you how to put the tools in the machine. I show you how to upload the program, offset all the tools, and make this to within the Xometry tolerances or whatever customer tolerances. And then I also show you how to do, like, our machine has a sub spindle, so I can come over and grab this and bring it back over and then finish over here. So for manufacturing capabilities, it's increased productivity. And now I'm actually not just so much getting into the school, I'm actually getting calls from companies where we'll come out and we'll come in and help them set up their machines or help them set up their tombstones or maintenance stuff on the Haas machines.
Yeah.
Even down to technical, as far as like doing axis sets on the TRT 100 trunnion. Oh, sorry, 2 seconds. I'm so sorry.
Hey, you're fine, man.
Forgot about the air compressor.
You're good.
So when you put the trunnion in there, you got to calibrate it.
Yeah.
So we're actually teaching companies how to calibrate it. So when you move a part around in space, if it's like this and it goes up here or does that or wherever direction it goes, the machine knows exactly where the work offset is. So it's been really awesome. I mean, it's awesome. We're going to companies, we're training at companies. They're coming here, we're training. So I think it's awesome.
No, that's amazing. Now,
my motivation is to get people as equipped as we can. That way we can compete with other markets and keep our work here. And it doesn't matter what's going on. We can be competitive, we can be productive, and we can put out really, really, really good quality parts.
That's amazing. And I think that's an important, mission and driving force there. So what I'm interested, what's the impression in the kids that are coming through the class, like day one, what's like kind of their no prior experience in manufacturing versus like the last day of the class, right? Do they, I'm assuming there's a change there, right? Because imagine like soot on your face and, instead of the kind of the high tech environment that manufacturing really is.
Yeah. So you'll get all, wide ranges of skill sets. So some people come in, you can tell when someone's a little bit more confident, they're a little bit more talkative. Someone's just learning, they're just sitting there really quiet, having a donut, having some coffee, kind of waiting to see how things get going. And the way we've set it up is we do it in milestones. So as you pass a milestone, that's what we do. We go on to the next milestone. So, you know, if we're drawing a part, we focus on that and we focus on the milestone.
Yeah.
If you're a little bit faster student and you got that milestone done, well, hey, you got a few minutes to, you know, practice something else. You know, if you want to go on your phone for a few minutes or something. But we just try to gradually go through each milestone. That way the whole class is moving forward together. And it's cool to see, you know, the people that transition from knowing nothing into even learning how to draw a part. And they're like, oh, that was cool, right? You can see their wheels turning. It's like, you know, even with my daughter, I'm teaching her, we're getting ready to launch her company, which is we're making yo-yos. This is going to be, my daughter's sailor, so it's going to be a Sayo.
That's awesome.
And then this will be a Zoyo. And we're going to be making yo-yos. I got it, where this is our prototypes, but these are going to be cool. You can just see with anyone, naturally their wheels are turning. And I think that's kind of like how we're made. We're like, it's fun to make stuff. It's fun to be creative.
Those magic moments, you know?
Yeah. So, and as the class goes on and as you gradually are learning, I think, because me learning in the past, you've got all the YouTube videos, right? But then there's nobody to show me the hands-on, right? If the video is going through and I hit a spot in the video where I'm like, oh, he just skipped that really important part. Well, those are the things that we're trying to plug in, you know, because there's a lot of great teachers online, but you obviously can't catch everything. So as the students are going through, it's just cool to see the lights start going off, the smiles coming, you know, getting on the machine, you can see the nerves. And then you can see the confidence grow.
Yeah.
And then you can see the excitement for what we do. And then it's like, I want to do this trade. I want to get more involved in this trade. This is an awesome trade. And we need people desperately, like desperately.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's why I think it's such a cool initiative and really wanted to plug it here. So how long have you been active in running this?
So it's been about 3 months, and one of the key players in helping us, in helping me with the class is a good friend of mine. I just won't share his name just yet because he's still employed, so I don't want to have any conflict of interest. But he is a Haas applications engineer. So the cool thing about him is he's actually certified through the main office in Oxnard. And he's an actual certified applications engineer. So the guy is, he's a wealth of knowledge, and he's in the same boat I am, just to pay it forward, share, and teach. And as he's getting ready to kind of semi-retire from his company, we've kind of joined forces with my shop, my equipment, with his knowledge, bringing, you know, I call my style machining fast food machining. I don't know where I came up with that term, but with Xometry, you need to make parts now, right? Yeah. So I've always, and when he comes in, he's very methodical. So we're trying to merge two generations, you know, and it's kind of cool, you know. And I just feel like there's so much we can learn from the older generation, and then there's so much we can learn from the newer, and just bring those technologies together and bring them to the people.
No, I think that's so important. There's so much tribal knowledge in the manufacturing world where, like, if you ask, you're like, how'd you learn that? And you're like, well, what do you mean how I learned that? I talked to the guy that trained me, and I learned it over years. And and then, you know, there's all these folks that are kind of newer to the manufacturing industry that are doing things differently. I like that. Was it fast through manufacturing?
I said, I call it fast food. Yeah.
Yeah, fast food. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, some people are like, you know, how do you do things so fast? And I just said, you got to understand, when you work with Xometry and you take a job and it's a 5-day job and it takes 2 days to get the material, you got to do
process has got to be tight. Yeah. Processes got to be tight.
So especially if it's a part that is extremely tight on the tolerances. But what's neat is the new equipment I have. I have on the Haas Mills, I have the Renishaw probes now. So we can actually, in some of our advanced classes, we will teach you how to take a part that's in the mill, for example. And with the Renishaw probe in the program, it will grab the probe, come over, check the part, put it on a macro, and we can actually send that out to the customer live machining time and let them know, like, we're on part number 12, and this is the part we just checked, and it's within tolerance.
That's awesome.
It's so like, yeah, so Yeah, our advanced classes, which we haven't started yet, they'll be all 5-axis training, 5-axis programming,
Mhm.
um, just like more advanced stuff, you know.
Yeah,
So
that's
just with
amazing.
the
So
capability of the machines.
it sounds like you think, because when you were showing me the parts that you had some errors on, right? You said milestone, and then you talk about milestones with your students. It sounds like you think in milestones. So as we fast forward, maybe a year or two from now, what are some milestones that you have in mind for Todd White Metal Works? Like, what does the future look like for you guys?
Yeah, so the future is going to be a newer facility that is probably 3 times this size, so maybe about 4,000 square foot. I want to have about 1,000 square foot conference room with an aisle down the middle, about 4 or 5 tables, chairs set up to where people could come in and we can do, teach more
Mm-hmm.
and have more students come at one time. And then as far as the shop, I want to have 2 sections, one where we do manufacturing and one where we do training. So the goal would to be the existing machines I have, those will be set up for probably manufacturing. And as I get in the newer machines, those will be set up for training. So the UMC, the 5-axis, and then as we grow, that will be the whole goal.
That's
And then
awesome.
getting into even into because I did a lot of fabrication before I got into machining. So I'll probably get into water jet or
Mhm.
laser or laser engraving, because all this stuff is valuable, especially laser engraving. That's laser marking. A lot of the parts are going that direction.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of parts. It's like, please laser engrave or laser mark. And you're like, so you're missing out on easy work because of not having the equipment or the capabilities. So
Yeah. No, I love that training is and the teaching is such a key aspect in how your business is going to grow. I think that's so important. So,
yeah,
as you're working, a lot of questions that I ask is if you were talking to your younger self or if you were giving advice, but you actually are giving advice to a younger generation. So,
right.
I'll ask more directly, is there any like, pieces of information or nuggets of advice that you make sure that your students take away from your training sessions with them? Like, if I had to distill down my training to a couple, pieces of things that you got to learn, what are some of those things that you really drive home?
Yeah, believe in yourself. If you're passionate about what you're doing and what you're learning, believe in yourself that you can move forward. Believe in yourself that you can learn this trade. Um, yeah, it's intimidating, but know that through trial and error, you are going to get over those humps, those milestones that I like to use, and you will be successful. And I think just continue to go forward. Don't ever look back,
Hmm.
and just, like, use that energy to go forward, and I just tell people all the time, like, believe in what you can do, believe in the things that you learn, and keep applying them, and with time and repetition, you'll get it.
That's
So
amazing because that's not only. I mean, I'm a little fired up right now. I feel like I'm about to tackle the rest of my day, with some energy because that those are good lessons for the manufacturing space, but
yeah,
also for anybody doing anything that they're passionate about. And I
right.
love that because I do think that passion and drive and dedication to this craft is
Oh yeah.
really, really important because there will be trials and there will be
Oh
tribulation.
yeah.
But as long as you believe in yourself and you use that momentum to go forward, you can, get to amazing places as you've demonstrated.
And there's a lot of satisfaction in this trade. I mean, when you come up against a problem and you
Hmm.
solve that problem and that problem actually works, and then the next thing you know, you see that fixed problem online and being sold to millions of people. Like, I was just at the hospital 4 days ago with my wife. We just had our fourth child. It's my first boy.
Oh,
Yeah,
congratulations, man.
Charles Caston White. He's my first son. So I have 4 children, but I'm in the delivery room with my wife, and the nurse comes in to give my wife an IV, and there's a little, it's like a plastic apparatus that controls the drip for. And I
Mhm.
looked at it and I told my wife, I go, does that look familiar? And she goes, yeah, you designed that like 5 years ago. And we were just so blown away because I'm looking at it And I just said, excuse me, I'm not the only one in the facility. And she's like, no, we have millions of them. So I'm like, should have patented it, but it wasn't for me, it's for someone else. But
Yeah.
just so cool, right? That you can think of something, put it on paper, put it on the computer, put it into life, and then it's being used by thousands. And then to come full circle, it's used on my wife 5 years later. I'm like,
that is amazing.
That's cool. I mean, it's cool. So I was just, we kind of laughed, even though she's in labor, right? We just kind of had that moment together where we laughed and we're like, just so grateful, so thankful for what this trade's done to me. And to, you know, not to plug in people real quick, but I would like to give some credit to where credit is due. If these gentlemen see this video, but you know, Titan Gilroy, Titan CNC, thank you for continuously pouring into this trade. John Saunders and NYC CNC, you know, thank you for all the videos, all the trial and error. To the new companies giving us toolings and feeds and speeds that work, you know, making our jobs a lot easier to, you know, buy a tool and not having to guess how to use it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And anyone else I've missed, you know, guys at Fusion, Rob Guile, all those guys, they've just been a huge help. And even Haas, even the corporate office in Haas, you know, putting out all the videos for their machines. You know, I got stuck on a part the other day, and sure enough, I was able just to go to their website and figure it out. And where that is so important to me is like when I got my new machine dropped off and the guy who's training me leaves after 4 hours and you have no clue how to use it. And you're like, I just spent 50 grand and it's the same exact scenario as the Tormach.
Yeah.
Wow. You can go online. You can get a good post from your software, put that software in there. You know it's going to work. You're making chips, you're making money. And it's kind of like just taking that, remember in Indiana Jones walking out on the thing where there was no bricks, right? It's just like, I'm going to push the green button, man, and I hope these work, right?
So, I love that, man.
Yeah, and then you get done and it's just like boom, boom, boom. So
that's so cool. And you know, I would second those shout outs. I think that that there's a lot of folks doing amazing work in giving back to the community and manufacturing community, but also the work you're doing to give back to your local community and you know, help folks get into the space. I think it's amazing. So Todd, man, this has been a phenomenal conversation. I've so enjoyed it.
Thank you.
You know, I'd love to have you back as we move into the new facility and we grow the training. I'd love to do a check-in in the future because it's really, really cool to hear what you're doing.
Awesome. And one last thing, thank you to Xometry. Thank you for always progressing, always treating me like family, always having my back. And I know that might sound kind of, like I said in the last video, cliche, but you guys, the whole crew at Xometry, they've always been just so supportive, so there for me. And that's a cool feeling. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I love it. That's why we come to work. You know, it's fun to give back, and it's fun to work with you guys on, like you said, solving problems and making amazing applications for customers. So, well, Todd, thanks again, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. No, thanks for having me, guys. Hope you have a great day and keep going forward.
Awesome. We'll check in next week for another episode of Amplify with Adam, and we'll be back.